Well, now you're going to see another dimension of the course that I've kind of made one of my signature activities. And that is specifically, I like to introduce each of the modules. Yes, you have the stuff in writing, but sometimes it helps if the sort of designer, I'm not the total designer, gives you some insights. The first thing I have to say is that our module one is undergoing some modification. Anything that will change your activity, you'll be told about long before you have to worry about it. What I'd like you to do, begin with, of course, is to take a look at the two videos there, part one and part two, that are on module one. The attempt there is to give you a contextual view of what's going on, particularly in the state of Maryland. The school that I'm describing, probably of the 16 systems in Maryland, is probably representative of about 8 of them. So that should give you some thought on why I'm having you do it. Next thing I'd like you to do, if you would please, is to take a look at the PowerPoint slides. They are one of the best set that I've seen. They're modified from stuff that came from Morgan. And so that it's pretty consistent with the way things are done, because Morgan, as with all the community colleges, we do report to the Maryland State Board for Higher Ed and indirectly to the legislature, because as we've said before, that's where a lot of the money comes from. Okay, one of the things that I'm going to send you on this first module is something that I've always started the budget course with. The Association of American Universities and Colleges, at the start of each calendar year, they go back and review what they think the top 10 issues are going to be for higher education in that particular year. And what I've discovered after looking at those is that the majority of them have a direct, or in some instance, indirect impact on budget. And just looking at budget is, as my grandfather on the farm used to say, you can't milk a cow on a two-legged stool. So you need our content, you need some of the other stuff I've given you, plus it helps to see what the national perspective on what we're doing is really all about. So take a look at that. You'll be in a situation where you're going to find some use for that, particularly as we come to the end of the module. Okay, your reading assignments for this particular module are pretty good. You'll find that I kind of am drawn to the work of Barr and McClellan for 2 reasons. First, it's concise. We could have assigned you a 600-page book. Wouldn't have cost you anything because it's online free. But unless you were going to become a vice president for financial services, you don't even really want to get next to that book. There's far more there than you will ever need. What those nice folks try to do is to give you a contextual framework, if you will, for budget building. Now, one of the beauties of them is that they are rather a diverse group of people. Diverse in the sense that they come from 2 somewhat different directions. One, as you'll read if you read the preface, one spent most of the time at working with the student success programs at about 3 different universities, if my memory serves. The other one worked more in a general administrative area. I think there was some contact with instruction, but overall, a pretty good picture of the entire thing. That way, what you're going to have is an entire overview of everything that goes on with the way these things work. By now, once you've done those readings, looked at the longer video, and looked at the PowerPoints, I think it would be comfortable. I would be comfortable in assuming that whether I'm right or not, you're going to tell me. I'm going to say something about that in a minute. I make an assumption that you probably have a pretty good foundational understanding of how budgeting works. And from some of what I've had you read, I want you to understand that it's more than just the budget. The budget is not an independent entity. The budget works along with, frankly, 2 other areas that are very critical. The first is with planning in the institution, because the plan, if things are working well, drives the budget. And the other thing, which occurs in a formative way throughout the year and in a summative way at the end of the year, is an assessment. To what extent did the budget that we built really grasp what it was that the institution needed. And that kind of thing is going to be very, very important, because that's one of the things that at the end of the year, you will be presenting that to the Board of Governors, whatever they're called. As I said to you in that first video, some places call them county commissioners. Some of them call them a county council. And there are other names for them as well. But those are the two most popular that I have experienced. So by the time you're done with that aspect, you should be ready to take on most of the rest of what we'll do throughout this particular course. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about mechanics before I shut this thing off, this module off. First, you have my email. You have my cell number. You have my landline number. And you also have my office number. And what I will tell you each week in the published, you're going to get two messages from me. One will be published as an announcement. That will stay on Blackboard. The other one will be sent directly to you. And that will be more for my confirmation with you, the kind of things we would do at the start and end of every class where we're meeting face to face. So if questions come up that are more related to you and where you stand in the course, or other idiosyncrasies that are impacting you, please feel free to use that email to call me. My favorite phrase for many, many years was, together, there are no problems we cannot solve, but I don't read minds. So if I don't know there's a problem, I can't work with you on it. And the more you delay telling me there's a problem, the harder they become to solve. So you will use a discussion board for everything that is related to the entire course, to content and procedure. But if the other thing comes up that you have something you need information on, or you want a question answered, please, I make it a promise that I will be looking at that email from you at least 3 times a day. So you won't wait very long. There's nothing I disliked more when I was working with distance education as a receiver, if you will, was that I would wait sometimes a week before people would answer. Needless to say, I don't take kindly to those kinds of professors. Well, there's Module 1. Enjoy it. If you have personal questions, call or email. If you have broader-based questions, put them on the discussion board. You'll always get a response. Thank you.